We are live.
Hello, hello.
Hey, hey, hey. My mic says it's working.
Yeah.
With this, I don't know. This week, it's
Yes,
all kind of gremlins out here. The ones
this
that are out
year.
here disconnecting all my internet. They're putting my floor back out there. So right now, nobody can come to the house because I have no walkway, and it's all cement that is supposed to be drying in the rain.
Wow.
How about that? you know. So, and then everything around it is a hot mess with mud, and they all keep getting caught in the mud that they got to get pushed out because it's raining. So, you already know the foyer area's got nothing but tracks of
Mhm.
mud, even though they're leaving their shoes, it's still getting through here. So, yeah, I'm having a fit. I'm like, can y'all have this turkey and this mac and cheese or whatever it is that y'all want to do? And so I can get up out of here, you know. So good afternoon, everybody. Hello, hello. I see we have Keo and Toy in here. A few folks are joining us. We have about 15 ladies in here. Hey, Willis. I love you. That's how you know it's Willis. He always got his tag. Willis closed it.
Right. We'll expose it.
Hey, Cassie. So, guys, today, of course, we all know we're going to get right into business because we like to start on time and end on time. So, we're actually live in in a few of the groups. Be Niched, we're in Win. So, we have a mixture of people today, Myeisha. So, for those who don't know, this is Myeisha Wright. She manages and she's co-owner of our property management company that's a part of the real estate house. And today, we've got so much stuff going on, guys, in the background, from property management to sales to development and all these other kind of things, that when you're building all of these pieces, it's really important that you have the right partners. So a little bit, guys who probably don't know how Myeisha and I met, if you weren't at Teach at the Beat and things like that, it just so happens, I always tell people it wasn't our plan. That was kind of like God's plan, because it was just like I'm sitting in the office one day and get a call and it's her. It's like, hey, I think I'm doing this wrong. And I'm like, oh, okay, come in. And that's the one thing, guys, that, as you guys are running companies, owning companies, you have to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So when somebody comes into the front door, then you're ready to figure out if this is going to be a good match or not a good match, and then how you can maneuver and change. Because if I was so stringent in my thinking of I've got to be the boss or I've got to make it look this way or that way, then it limits you on the kind of partnerships you're going to have in the future. And so some of you have probably seen us talking about her workshop and that kind of thing that's coming up. And I wanted to have her on today because it's airing and Be Niched as well. So we can talk about this niche of property management. You guys can ask your questions and things like that. And more importantly, how do you go about getting clients and things to that nature? So Myeisha does have a boot camp coming up real soon in December. And Carmine can put that in there for those who want to register for the boot camp. And she'll take you through the how, but I want us to really talk about the why this property management piece is so important, why it's going to be important for what we're about to experience in January, how people can get involved, and more, my favorite one, how are we going to make some money? Because if we have businesses that's not making money, it ain't gonna work. So the other day, guys, I posted that commission that came in, and I think it was 72,000,
Yep, correct.
and that was generated from the property management side of the business, and that started that relationship. So for a lot of people, guys, $72,000 is what their whole household makes in a year. That a person is doing in one transaction. And so that falls into, and you guys are hearing me talk more and more about all the commercial side of the things and how you're going to go out and do certain things or whatever, whatever. So I'm going to let Myeisha talk through some of what she's got going on, why property management is important. You guys know we kind of freestyle. There's no scripts. So if you guys have comments and things like that, I'm not sure if she can see your comments from her side, but she can answer those. And if you have questions for me, we can answer them. So, guys, jump in as you see fit. So Myeisha, take it away, because I don't know that everybody here, knows your background or anything like that, because not everybody is here from like Teach at the Beach or, who went to your workshop at Teach at the Beach. So.
Right. So a little bit about me. I am, as Tameka said, we partnered in on the property management side of the business. I'm also the manager broker of the real estate house here of Kansas City. Basically, how I got started into property management was really a leap of faith jump. I was in kind of the corporate world environment, about 25 years old, didn't like it. And so I had family friends that were in property management. So the only route I knew to take was to go get a job in property management. However, the first thing they tell you is you always start at the bottom, which is basically leasing. But of course, to get one of these corporate leasing jobs, you have to have leasing experience. So kind of did that dance of several interviews, but it's like the whole point of me leaving corporate America was not to go get another corporate job. So I ended up coming across an investor I found on Craigslist that was basically looking for people to just go show his properties and get these Section 8 vouchers and lease them up. So that's what we worked on doing. I met him through Craigslist, and then that same day he ended up hiring me. Promised me, of course, I can make this much per month if I lease this much per month very quickly. But of course, jumping over there, what I was able to do was learn all the facets of real estate, and so helped him basically go from, I think he was at 250 houses, grew quickly to 1,000 houses, and then made the leap over in 2000. Want to say was 14 or 15 to multifamily. And now he's a large multifamily owner here in Kansas City, in which he approached me last year on partnering in on the property management side of multifamilies now. And so him and I co-partner on that aspect of owning or managing third-party management for the multifamily units. About 25 doors or higher, up to 200 doors is what we do. So in learning that aspect of it, I learned a lot from the investor perspective, but from the property management perspective, it was everybody does it differently. There isn't really one way to do it except for the legal way to do it, which I quickly learned from the beginning. I wasn't doing it legally. The whole point for him was for me to make him money, which is what I did.
Wait, so let me go back, because some folks might have missed that. Yeah. So how long did it take for you to figure out, like, I might not be doing this legally, even though, somebody else is telling you what to do? Because again, you're new, and some people here are going to be new into a particular niche, and they're going to go with who they think is successful. Correct. Right? You see them making money. You see them, they're not in handcuffs walking away. So were there red flags, or like, how long were you doing it? Like, what made you, go, maybe this is not right?
Yeah, I was already working for him for about 2 or 3 years. And the only way I found out I was doing it wrong was when I actually went to go get my my real estate license. Because also at that time too, he was basically approaching me and helping him sell his houses. I'm like, nah, I know you have to have a license for that. And then in the class, getting the license, the teacher blatantly said that any transaction dealing with real estate, including leasing and management, is a licensed activity in my state. And I'm like, that's my bread and butter. Like, what am I supposed to do right now? So, yeah, it was actually going to get that formal education to get the license, where I learned that, okay, just hurry up, get this license, then go back to doing what I was doing. But the other part of that was, once I was in there getting my license, that's why I learned you had to be under a brokerage. That the next step of that was more making sure I found a broker that was going to allow me to continue to do what I was doing. When you get into that license course, of course, they're telling you to go to the big names, Remax, Keller Williams. And usually when you sit down and have those conversations with them on why I should join your brokerage and how I can get clients in business, if they didn't mention anything related to how I thought I can go about do it, it wasn't going to be a good fit. And so I was actually referred from another property management company I was working for, which is still active, and I was leasing for them too, then to come talk to Tameka about joining the brokerage, because they blatantly said that that's the place to be for what I was doing.
Cool. And for those who didn't know, I had a property management company at the time, but I wasn't actively looking for clients because I had set it up so that it was a service to my investors. So unless I had investors who needed property management, I wasn't actively going out there doing it. Plus, I was using the property management side to manage my own properties. So, guys, as you guys are looking at, oh, well, what, does this make sense for me and that kind of thing, you're looking at it a bunch of different ways. Are you planning on being an owner in a property management company, or doing the day-to-day stuff in a property management company, rolling up your sleeve? Are you going to manage your own properties? Are you going to look at beach properties, commercial properties? There's so many aspects to, this property management piece that, I could have Myeisha on 10 times this year to cover different sectors, of the business. And so as you're getting involved, be on a lookout for that. And one other thing she said that was really key is that as you're selecting which brokerage you're going to work with, you guys better find out if they will allow you to do property management. Because a lot of companies, you guys are, you get in there and they start their recruitment spiel, and then you realize, no, the only box they're going to put you in is sales. You can't do property management. You can't do anything outside of that box. So hopefully you guys are taking some of those notes on that. And, I'm going to let Myeisha talk to you guys about the piece that I think is pretty unique to us here for like Missouri and Kansas, where we're right on the border. We're all normally licensed in both states, and one requires you to have a license and the other one doesn't. And it's just kind of, it's kind of weird when you get into some of these spaces.
Right. Yeah. As you mentioned, Kansas side doesn't require a real estate license to do residential property management. For commercial management, it does. So there is a lot of different ways so you can navigate setting up your structuring your business. I believe total in the U.S. there's about 7 states that don't require you to have a license right now. I know those things are changing as we kind of watch the market change, especially the industry changes, that you're probably going to end up seeing some states requiring some type of property management leasing license or something like that before they go ahead and say, okay, no, you have to have a real estate license to do anything management or leasing related, whether it be commercial, residential. But as of now that I know, there's only 7 states that don't require a license. But that doesn't mean that you don't want to be on the lookout for any other rental guidelines in your state or in your county or city on what the requirements to handle rental properties, because again, those are changing as well. Each city is now starting to roll out some type of permit rental program, and so you have to navigate what your liability levels are going to be, because the whole thing is that they want to be able to hold someone personally responsible when something happens with that property with that tenant. And so if you want to be that person on behalf of that landlord, you do that, but you want to make sure you structure your contracts. Contracts is the big thing in property management, but make sure you structure your contracts to where that liability doesn't solely fall on you, or it's clear that who's responsible for what in the event that something happens to that property. But realistically, if you are representing that property, most of that liability is going to fall on you. So you want to make sure you know what type of properties you want to manage, what you're getting into, and how you're structuring your agreements and your partnerships. As I mentioned with the investor that I was doing before, I didn't want to just be his, at that time, the broker for his property management company. I said, no, we're going to partners on that as well and become part owner of this. And then I want to basically have all of your deals where you're selling something, because that's a big thing that he does as well, is he gets these properties off market, distressed properties, and does an awesome job rehabbing them from D class to B class. And sometimes he holds them, sometimes he doesn't. And so that's why I was able to structure that large commission deal that we got in, and actually in the works of hopefully being able to do another one here soon.
And so guys, if you're new to this, and one of the things you have to catch is when you are working with investors, and some of you guys have went through that investor certification, and so you probably recognize this from that side, but think about it as if you take on a property management client and they want you to do the property management, don't leave that other money on the table. And that's one thing I'm really good at saying within any partnership is not to leave the money on the table. Part of what they need you for, and people will get into a blinding space, is if they hired you for property management and then next thing you know, they're listing with someone else, or they have someone else doing the financing for them or something else. You have to let them know this is the kind of partnership that you want, and don't let them control as the investor who has, properties and they've been doing business a certain way for a long time. They're stuck in their own box. And so you have to sometimes come to the table with, now this is how we're going to do this. This is how we're going to structure this. And that's the one thing I would always notice that property management companies didn't do. They didn't have in their contract that they had to, if I'm going to do your property management, I'm also going to be your, exclusive agent when it's time to sell these properties too. So when it's time for you to package a bundle, which is what she did, is package a bundle of his properties and sold them, then I need to be there. And then guys, you can also, move yourself into the space too of managing the properties when they're sold off to someone else. Mm-hmm. So, and during the boot camp, Myeisha, tell them more of what you guys will be covering in that space. And then you guys, if you have questions about property management or how she structured certain things or whatever, feel free to drop those questions in there, because we're very different than I think other property management companies in that in our state, for example, in the state of Missouri, you can have your license in several places. So based on how our contract reads, Myeisha can still be the operating broker or partner broker on other people's brokerages as well and earn there. So you guys don't put yourself in the one box of you can only earn in one place. Keep that part on that you're an independent contractor. And as an independent contractor, your job and role is to find how you make money in all the places that you can, not just in one place where when you guys got to go to some firms, they only put you in one box, make money and just sales, instead of, well, where are the other opportunities for me to make money? Because y'all know what I tell you, those knees are going to start to give out. You're not going to want to rip and run. You ain't got any hot girl summers left. You got a couple, so you got to make and leverage these licenses and these businesses to be able to bring income in and build your empire.
Right. And so that's one of the things that I do want to cover during the boot camp is the variety of different profit centers that you can get in property management. There is the misconception that only way property managers make money is off management fees. And if I solely relied on management fees, I wouldn't be here. I'd be doing the different management fees. So we had talked about a little bit about the being able to be the broker for other property management companies or investors looking to add that niche on to their income streams, but also just in the management business yourself with you deciding to own the company to go that route. The other thing a lot of those managers miss is the tenant side of things. So a lot of these people looking for these units to lease from you can potentially be buyers later. I remember having a client that I leased an apartment to her 5 years ago, or I'm saying probably 3 years ago. And then 3 years later, she's reaching out because she remembered I was an agent because now she's married family looking to potentially buy a house. So those profit centers there where you hold on to those tenants even after you don't manage the property anymore, they move away or whatever the case may be. Those are potential leads for that you can take on, or you refer to your other team of agents that are on your team.
Even your city contract, you know, even the city contract that resulted in new construction sales and, you know, that kind of stuff. And they were using some of the government money to do certain parts of that and some other stuff. So there's a lot that I guess you guys are going to cover in that boot camp. And that's, I think, what's most important is people understanding those profit centers.
Yeah,
because people think about leasing and they're like, oh, I'm not going to make a lot of money on, you know, 10% or 8% or 9%. It's like, if that's the only way that you see money that's going to be made, no, you'd have to do too many doors to make this make sense and have too many headaches.
Exactly. Trying to manage all of it, it's very difficult.
That's why I'm like, because out of everybody on the team, Myeisha probably has the best attitude for, I don't care. I really don't care. Because I'm like, Myeisha takes care of that because she don't care. It just rolled right off her. And I think it's because she doesn't even probably remember half the stuff. It's like, whatever, I don't know. I'm like, Myeisha, what happened? She's like, I don't remember. So, you know, finding that right teammate that can handle certain things, you know, positioning your empire that you're building is going to be key. And I think finding your niche within even something, as you think property management is a niche, but then it can be so much more niche down to those pieces, right? So I know, like right now she's doing what? Working with the property management stuff like the beach.
Yes. Yep.
And that's like totally different.
Totally different market.
Like a whole totally different thing. And if y'all know me, y'all know I'm going to hire the best people I can find, attract, or whatever, and then I'm going to get out the way, right? So they be sending me stuff, and I'm like, I don't know. I just need to know who I got to pay. Utility bills got to be paid. Things. Myeisha's like, no, we need this, we need that. We got to have this document. We got to have this. There's you know, find them, do this. She's talking to Renee. I'm like, I have no idea what they're talking about over there. Just tell me what I got to pay. Because that side of the business, it can be very lucrative for less property, right?
Correct. Yes.
But it is a lot more.
Yeah, it's a lot more moving pieces in the background. Yeah, because it's like stuff has to be pristine, perfect, you know, very top-notch, high-level quality of service, in addition to on both the tenant side and the owner side, because you're dealing with a lot of the financials on that end, all the different fees that are charged, all the different incomes that come in from these type of different properties. And then on top of that, the legal ramifications regarding taxes. I believe in Florida, we have to file something every 1 or 2 months regarding income we made on a property on behalf of the owner. So, and then all the different rental permits. So it's a lot, but it's lucrative. Yeah,
that part is a lot. That's why I've seen some people like they got 10 properties and that's all they do.
Exactly. Yeah.
And, you know, they're at the beach and they're in their flip flops or whatever. But it is, you know, kind of a lot different than how you have it set up, because now I'm noticing that the properties you have in Kansas City, they are now pretty much like on autopilot. People don't come into the office like they used to. I remember Jeff went down and said something. He's like, I don't even see people in there. Like it's like that there are no people. She didn't wean them off of coming into the office, like training centers and all this other stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay. There's a question in there, Myeisha, if you can see it from Whitney.
Do you find that this has opened up the door for you to have more investor clients help buy and sell? Yes. Actually, that I am starting to get more of those. I am getting clients that want me to help them buy some properties. They want to use me for their management. Usually what I do on that end, by this time, this well in the business, I have owners that just want to sell. So I just go ahead and sell them that property. Like I've already been managing this for the past a year or 2 or 3 years. And I know this owner wants to sell. So here's your first property. This is how much they want it for. And we'll take over the management, of course. And there'll be no change on behalf of the tenant or anything like that. It's just a change on the back end. And then, of course, selling. Yes. A lot of actually, I think probably a good portion of my transactions this year have all been investors. At least for sure the ones that have been on market. Off market has all been investors because of that fact that you do have a lot of landlords, the ones that kind of started right after the 2008 crash and hurt and bought a bunch of stuff, are now looking to sell that stuff because they don't want to experience 2008 situation. So, or they're upgrading, they want to upgrade their property level. So they're going from those CD class type properties, trying to get up to those BA class type properties, and they have to sell off what they have. So yes, I am running into a lot more landlords looking to buy and sell their properties, or suggesting to them that, hey, property values in the area has increased dramatically. I think if we go in and do these renovations, you could probably flip this retail.
And that package that you sold that we were talking about, those were condos, correct?
Yes.
That investor had a book of business of condos. And because Myeisha was in the middle of it, she earned both sides of the, both sides of the commission. So she kind of served as the transaction broker for those who are in that kind of a market, or, even though she probably just represented one side, she still got both sides of that commission. So, again, guys, think outside of that box. Make the bag chase you. Understanding all those profit centers. I know, like when I'm working with agents and showing them how to work with investors, I can always identify at least 6 profit centers. And so how many profit centers are you guys going to be able to find in your market when you get into the property management side? If you're attending that boot camp, that's kind of what you want to be looking at. It's like, how many profit centers that are easy for me to move into because I'm already there. And I think so many times we leave money on the table from profit centers because we just don't know. And so the sooner you learn it, the better off you are, instead of learning it 10 years down the road, right. Because it's a gradual thing. So any last questions you guys have? I'm not going to keep Myeisha, because I thought I heard the little boy in the background.
Oh, can you hear that? Oh my God.
Well, everybody's at home with their kids and stuff the other day, and Renata's probably on here or somewhere. She'll see this. I'm on the phone with her and I'm talking to her, and I hear a little baby's voice, and I guess the baby's 4. Baby, of course, to me, and the baby's like, "Help me, help me." I'm like, what's going on? Do I need to call Child Protective Services? What's going on? The little baby's like, help me. And so, no, the baby was trying to get her attention to help her with her work that she was doing, like coloring. It's like, help me, mom, help me. And that was just funny. So, yeah, when people are at home with their kids, I'm like, let me be real respectful of their time, because the little ones are bossy. They start getting involved. They pulling hair, whatever else is going on. Now, all the whole last 2 hours, they weren't bothering you. And now they want your attention because you live.
Oh, this is easy. I got 30 minutes. I could do 30. No.
Yeah, I could hear them in the background from little guys. I was like, somebody's trying to get through a door or something. So guys, if you don't have any other questions, drop them in there. If not, Myeisha is in the WIN group, and she's also in the Be Niche group. And if you're watching us through Real Estate House Academy, you can drop those questions there, and she'll be able to answer them. And for those who are coming to her boot camp next month, get ready to ask those questions on those profit centers, guys, because from what we're looking at, I know I'm counting 5, and I'm sure she may even have more than that, because she's in this day to day, every day. So if there are no other questions here, I don't see any. Myeisha, I'll let you.
I do want to add, though, to that is what allowed me to really focus on those profit centers was being able to automate my business so I can track where we were and where we need to go The good thing about COVID is that it helped push me to do that automation, because I knew eventually we were going to have to do as much of this online as possible. But COVID really helped us jump over that to where we're not having the constant interruption of people visiting the office, and I could pretty much run everything and not have to be there and focus on the day-to-day stuff so that I can pay attention to those profit centers. So we'll be covering that during the boot camp as well.
Cool. That sounds great, because you know me. I'm like, we can't pick it up and look on this phone to look at our office, exactly, and run everything with some fast phones. Then, you know, I don't want to do it. If we can't do it on the beach, I don't want to do it. We can't do it from somewhere else, and I got to get up and go do it. I don't want to do it. So, okay, guys, thanks for tuning in. I'll let Myeisha go, because the little kids are the bosses, in case y'all don't know. And he's a sweetie. So we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.